What is fantastic is that we will get ahead a little bit. What is fantastic is that we can make a small, little, gentle start in the context of an enormous topic of financial instruments. I'll keep it fairly light tonight. I'll keep it fairly simple tonight. But the obvious place to start with financial instruments is the definition of what a financial instrument is. And a financial instrument is a contract, a piece of paper, a contract that creates a financial asset in one entity, but creates a liability or equity instrument in another. I want to borrow money. I want to raise finance. I want to borrow money. So I issue a debenture. You have got lots of money. You want to lend it to me. So I issue a loan note. I issue a bond. I issue a debenture. I don't care what you call it. A bond is a debenture, is a loan note. So you give me cash. I receive the cash, I give you the contract. I have a liability. What do you have? An asset. If you're the lender, you have an asset. If you're the investor, you have an asset. If I'm the borrower, I have a liability. So the bond has created a liability for me and has created an asset for you. Another way of raising finance is to issue shares. So I issue equity shares. I want money, so I'm prepared to give you a slice of my business. I'm prepared to give you equity shares in my company. So if I issue you with equity shares, you give me money. What do you have in your books? Do you have an asset, liability, or equity instrument? I'm raising finance. So I have issued the share certificate, you have the share certificate, and you've given me money. What do you have in your books? An asset. You've made an investment in shares, and what I have is an equity instrument. So when I raise finance from the market invests in me. And the market either owns a bond, a debt instrument, an asset, or it owns an equity instrument, but they're both assets. I either have in my books a liability, a liability, I have to repay the money, or an equity instrument, it's an ownership interest. So, a simple example is the issue of a bond, an issue of a debenture, an issue of a loan. So therefore the issuer has share capital, which is equity, and the investor has an investment in shares, which is an asset. Another simple example Slow down, Tom. Slow down, Tom. Perhaps it's easier if I say it's an issue of equity shares.
So.
Yes. The quickest way to cancel it out is to take it back. I was getting ahead of myself. I was getting very excited. I need to slow down, calm down, and keep it simple. Because if I issue a bond, if I issue a debenture, if I issue a loan, therefore the issuer has debt. The issuer has a liability, but the investor is the lender. The investor is the lender and has an investment in the bonds. Has an investment in the bonds, and having an investment in the bond market means that you have an asset. Financial instruments. Financial instruments. Right. Let's concentrate on one thing. Let's concentrate on liabilities. And let's concentrate on liabilities being measured at amortized cost. If there's one thing we can get right tonight, there's one thing we can walk away from tonight, it's about the liabilities at amortized cost. So, a contract is a financial asset, or financial liability or equity instrument in the other half. An example is an issue of equity shares, an example is an issue of bonds. Let's have a look first of all at accounting for financial liabilities. Now, funnily enough, we've touched on this already. Even if you haven't done F7, we touched upon this when we talked about government grants. We said one way that a government may give us financial assistance is in a soft loan. So if the government lends us 10,000, charges us no interest, and says pay us the money back in 2 years' time, that is a form of financial assistance that you've received. When you receive the cash, you debit cash, 10,000. The initial recognition of the loan must be at fair value. So initial recognition of a loan, the initial recognition of a liability is at fair value, or if I'm strict, fair value less issue costs. Now, there's another way of saying that, which is the net proceeds of issue. There's another way of saying that, which is the net proceeds of issue.